Hello.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the pod.
Happy to be here.
I hope you're all doing well. If you're in Edmonton, it's currently, what's the date? November 22nd, and I feel like it's actually winter today for like the first time in a hot minute.
It's been gloomy as of late. I feel like as I get older, I am only more affected by the sun not being there.
I think we forget to like, if it's sunny and cold, doesn't feel cold, but it wasn't sunny yesterday, so then today is like, it like rolls over to make today extra cold. Like it's like -6 today, which I know it's going to get a lot colder, but that's like the coldest it's been during the day.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's rough on the old mindset game.
And I forget to like dress appropriately. Like my brain still thinks like a hoodie and a plaid is appropriate attire. And I walked to the gym and I said, no, I should probably start wearing a real jacket at this point.
I know. I feel like I'm always dressed because I would normally like wear a toque anyways. And then I'll like go out and like my kid won't be in like winter boots or something. And I'll be like, oh, maybe her feet are cold. I'm like, oh, I'm that parent with the underdressed child because it's been summer for like 8 months.
And it was like, last week it was like 13 degrees. So like, what is happening in this province?
I don't know. Do you have a win for the week though?
My win is very simple. My new workout program has air bike sprints in it.
That is not a win.
If you're on YouTube, you can see my slow blinking. So my win is the fact that I haven't died yet doing air bikes.
Oh, okay. That is a win because the air bike is also Satan's bike.
Yeah, like it's not a win that I have to do it, but it's a win that I get them done, you know? Because like I'm not having fun, I won't lie. Today I was like threw a whole fit on the air bike because I was wearing a baggy t-shirt, as one does, well, as I do when I go to the gym. And then my hair was in a ponytail on top of my head. But then when I started my sprint, the air blowing was like blowing my shirt and also my ponytail. And I literally like threw fit, and, like ripped my shirt off and like put my hair in a bun. And this trainer just like watched me. I was probably like, oh my God, because I was just like, I hate everything. And then got my bike sprints done.
She's going through something right now.
I'm like, no, I'm just going through bike sprints. That's it.
Well, like I said, air bike equals Satan's bike. Don't ever choose the air bike. If you're like a CrossFitter, like, if you've ever gone to CrossFit, like, if there's a cardio choice, it is not air bike unless it is the last thing available.
Yeah.
Like I would never choose that.
I feel like I have to actually follow my program this time around because last month my cardio was 15 like sets of stairs on the Stairmaster. I did that one time and then I switched to rowing instead. So I'm like, maybe I should actually follow the rules this time.
In rowing's defense, though, it is actually a lot more legs if you do it properly.
Yeah.
So like we can justify that. I can't really even like be the coach and be like, Jill, you got to do what's on the program because I'm a rowing girl. I have 2 pieces of cardio. I will 3, I guess, if you count bike, but I have 2 pieces of cardio in my gym. One of them is a treadmill and one of them is a rowing machine.
I love a rower. When you know how to row properly, I feel like rowing is just like a breeze. But I was not like, I'm gonna out myself right now. So let's hope my coach doesn't.
Ethan, turn it off.
Don't run away. Fast forward 30 seconds. My 15 sets on the Stairmaster turned into a 100-meter row. Those are not equal, like in the least. So I did feel obligated to actually follow my program this month. And I don't, at least a bike sprint is like short and sweet. Like the Stairmaster just like never ends. So we'll be fine. But my win is I've done them 3, like I've done it, gotten through that workout 3 times and haven't died. So that is my win.
Fabulous. I also have a gym win. I am the new proud owner of one of those pulley things, cable things over my squat rack. If you don't know, it's like an Amazon thing. Like it has a little tube with a platform. You put your plates on it and it makes a cable machine, which is so great because when you only have like dumbbells, a barbell, and like bands, adding a pulley, even though the movements are the same, the resistance is different between all three of those things. And it's so nice as a home gym person to have that variety. It's pretty exciting. I've done lat pull downs like 5 different ways already. I'm just so excited to do a lat pull down because, again, if you're a home gym goer, you really only have like bent over rows, single arm rows, and like I have a TRX and I have a barbell, so I can do inverted rows. But those are not the same as a lat pull down.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if we're getting too technical with the musculature things, but they're not the same. So when you're trying to do back at home, it can be very limiting. I'm not sponsored for this, but they're like $60 on Amazon and it came with like 4 different attachments. I'm just about to order the big, like the wide grip lat pull bar because it didn't come with that to go with. So far it's a hit. Also, I humbled myself hard with the weight because of course I'm like, I don't know what I can row. And I was doing like the bent over, like the swimmer pulls, like 50 pounds. And I was like, oh,
nope. We're not moving.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Okay. Anyways, so super win though. If you want the link to the one that I ordered, shoot me a message and I'll send you guys the link. Again, not sponsored, but happy to pass along products that are kick-ass.
We love that. Couple gym wins. We love to see it. We are going through, which is, I'm not going to lie, and I say this with all the love in the world because I'm very thankful for the people who choose to hang out with me on TikTok. But we're going through some TikTok comments I've gotten lately and some questions that I have not gotten around to answering. So welcome to Jill's TikTok comments. There's a lot going on in there most of the time, but I have pulled a few that I think probably everyone's had questions about at some point in their life. So let's talk about them. Jess knows a couple of them, not all of them.
Some surprises.
What shall we start? Let's start with the biggest one first, and then we can talk about the little ones after. A big question I've been getting, if you don't follow me on TikTok, you don't have to, but you might want to. I've been showing you how to change like holiday drinks to be lower calorie, but the same kind of flavor, because we all love a little holiday drink, but especially if you're an avid Starbucks goer, which I know Starbucks is kind of on the ropes right now, but if you're an avid holiday drinker, like a daily go get a coffee, those calories can add up pretty quick. And I'm sorry to burst anyone's bubble if you didn't already know this, but a caramel brulee latte has 457 calories in it and 37 grams of sugar, something ridiculous like that. So if we're doing like a sugary holiday drink every day and you're also in a fat loss phase or have nutrition goals or looking to change how you feel and look, those can add up pretty quick. So I've showed you how to change a few of them. And the biggest question I've gotten is, how much do liquid calories actually matter?
Well, I might be in the minority here. I don't actually like any of the holiday drinks. Okay. I get the same thing at the S coffee place.
The place that showed
up. I get it at Voldemort's coffee shop. I get it in the winter, it's hot. In the summer, I get it cold. I don't really deviate. But maybe naive question, are people actually getting this 400 calorie drink one a day? Because to me, I just feel like that would make me feel really full.
Okay, so here's the coffee snob in me, and I can say this here because Jess is also kind of a coffee
It's a safe space.
You either like sugary holiday drinks or you like coffee.
I like coffee.
Those two don't go together. And in this podcast, hence lattes and lifting, we are coffee girls. I appreciate a good cup of coffee.
If you're surprised that we like coffee, get out of here.
I appreciate a good roast, a good local cup of coffee, a good like mountain coffee shop. Like we appreciate a good cup of coffee around here. And if like getting the sugary holiday drinks is your version of I love coffee, again, a little tough love, you like sugar, not coffee. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think understanding that is important. But I do know there is a lot of people that go out of their house to get coffee every single day. And it usually is like a holiday drink or something sugary. Like my go-to, no matter where I am, is an oat milk latte. But I know lots of people get like the fancy, like craft holiday coffee drinks.
Important question. If this is you, are you the same people who are remember putting all of the things in your water?
Might be.
Are they the same? Is this a Venn diagram where they're just the same circle of people?
It might be. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like,
no, it's just a genuine question.
Yeah. Go get your holiday drinks if you want to, but I think it's important to recognize that liquid calories can add up really quick. And especially if you are like a caramel brulee latte girl every single day, that's a decent chunk of your, I don't want to say nutrition because it's not nutrition. That's a decent chunk of your calorie intake for the day. And you probably don't even recognize it. And the issue with liquid calories is they're usually not going to fill us up, especially if they're super sugary, because we're going to burn through that pretty quick. So we just burned through 500 and some calories without it.
And we've talked about this before, is that coffee is an appetite suppressor. So even if you're not like feeling like full, you're not going to feel hungry anyways. And I don't know, like the amount of sugar that you said just makes my teeth hurt.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, maybe I've just conditioned myself to drink like quality and like add less. And actually the thing is if you have a good quality coffee, you don't have to add the rest of the things to make it taste good.
Yeah.
We just have a little a local, they make cookies and stuff, and they do coffee. They use like a local roastery, and it's delicious. I also think that like you can change this habit, right? Like you might have like a coffee from a small local shop and be like, wow, that's very coffee-y, but have it and then keep going, and you can condition yourself to have less of the sugary stuff in your coffee if that's what you want. If you don't want that, I mean, just like, know what you're doing, right? Yeah. Don't do that every day and then be like, I do not know why I don't have any room in my macros at the end of the day.
Well, I don't know why fat loss isn't happening, or I don't know why X, Y, and Z. Like, I think it's just bringing awareness to the habits we have. And at the end of the day, liquid calories matter and they add up really quick. Like if you're a sugary coffee girl and you're also a pop girl, and like not a diet pop girl, like a regular pop girl, you're going to consume a lot of your calories through liquids that aren't really going to touch your hunger. They're not at all going to help with protein intake or whatever. They're usually sugar, which means they're just carb heavy, which means we burn through them quickly. So at the end of the day, I think liquid calories matter quite a bit, actually, and it's up to you of how much you want to change that habit. I also think it matters the frequency in which you're consuming said liquid calories. Like, do you go get a holiday drink once a week or once a month? Probably don't stress it. If this is a daily ritual for you, maybe we want to find some ways to switch out that coffee a little. Like I said, I have some ideas on my TikTok so that you can still go enjoy your coffee, but maybe it's 150 calories instead of almost 500 calories.
Yeah. I don't really have anything to add because I'm just like, I see the list if I go to Voldemort's coffee shop and I'm like, no, I'll just have my, what do I get? Brown sugar oat Americano.
Yeah.
And in the summer, it's brown sugar, shaken brown sugar oat.
Throw it on ice, call it a day. And I think coffee people are very like that. Like no matter what coffee shop I go to, depends on the season. I'm like oat milk latte, whether it's hot or iced, depends on the temperature outside.
Yeah.
But I feel like coffee people have their like order because we also know that it's going to work no matter where I am. And like my life mission is to find the best oat milk latte in this country, other countries, whatever. So you got to keep your order the same, or else you can't judge who's winning if you get a different coffee everywhere you go.
Yeah, it throws off the spreadsheet.
And I know we mentioned it was the last podcast, the coffee shop in Jasper that also shall not be named so that not everybody goes. They do a fantastic oat milk latte. They're still like, I think they're still my number one. And I've drank a lot of oat milk lattes from a lot of places in this world. The other one is in Mexico, which is like a little less accessible, but that's okay.
Fair. Yeah, I think this could also go hand in hand with like when we were talking about like a little bit of parenting yourself and being like, hey, like maybe we should expand our taste buds a little bit and try something that's not Tim Hortons, that's not Starbucks, that's not a mainstream coffee thing, and be like, and also support local. Like, you know, 3 years ago, everybody was like, support local. Yeah. And what's happened, right? Like, I think a lot of people still try, but like you probably have a smaller coffee place in your neighborhood. It probably doesn't have a drive-through, which is going to make it a little bit inconvenient. But what if that coffee is like the best cup of coffee you've ever had?
I was going to say, I know it comes to convenience a lot of the drive-thrus and your comfort. A lot of people will pull the card of, well, I don't know what it's going to taste like from somewhere else. Well, you're not going to know unless you try. But keep in mind that your liquid calories, like this used to be a thing a couple of years ago with my nutrition clients, was women would be like, oh, so you're going to tell me I need to stop putting cream in my coffee? No, but if you tell me you go get a holiday drink every day, I'm probably going to ask you if we can switch that habit a little bit. Like the couple of tablespoons of coffee creamer you put in your coffee at home,
yeah,
not do or die. It's the coffees that have a sneaky 50 some grams of sugar in them that are going to make the difference. So being aware, like I said, especially if you're a pop drinker, like I had a client one time when I worked with men. I don't do that anymore, but once upon a time I did. And he was a good friend of mine. I've known him since literally kindergarten. And when he came to me, I think this story probably shows exactly how much liquid calories matter. And I probably should have led with this, but when he first started working with me, he told me that he was drinking like 8 to 12 pops a day. So like instead of water, it was pop. And I don't say that to like shame anyone. I know there's a lot of people that are pop drinkers, and I feel like pop drinkers drink pop like all the time. And he told me that, and I was like, cool. Do you think we could switch a few of those for water, whether it's like going for a 0 calorie, like flavored water, or like a sparkling water? Like, can we make the switch somewhere to get away from the sugar? And it wasn't diet pop, it was like real pop. So in the first couple months of working together, we went from like 8 to 12 a day to like 2 or 3 a day. And he lost like 25 pounds in 2 months. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to everyone, but other than like he would come and work out with me twice a week, and we didn't change any of his other nutrition habits other than that. So that was the difference. Like he was probably consuming an extra like 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day in pop. So when we take that away, that's a huge difference in our calorie intake in a day.
Just thinking about that makes my teeth hurt.
Yeah.
Like I'm a sensitive mouth person anyways, but like I'm just like my teeth are like tingling right now. Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, like honestly, it can make a huge difference if you first of all are kind of honest with yourself about the nutrition, which even from an intuitive eating perspective, like we don't ever have to say no to everything. That's fun, right? We can always have room for the things that we enjoy, the things that taste good. Those are the things that are going to keep your cravings at bay and keep you satisfied. But at the end of the day, is 8 cans of Pepsi truly satisfying?
Or is it just what you do?
Or is going to Starbucks every day and having an $8 dessert in a cup, is that truly satisfying? Like, I just don't know that it is when we talk about what satisfaction truly is. And how does it make you feel afterwards? Do you feel like crap? Do you feel a massive sugar crash half an hour later? Maybe. And is that only leaving you sitting there being like, okay, how am I going to bring my energy back up? Well, I better get another coffee. Is it something like that? Like, is it creating a really unbalanced energy flow? And the answer is probably yes. So like, calories aside, because you guys know I don't speak really in calories, like, what else is it affecting? Right. Yeah. So even if you're not concerned about the calories, which frankly, I don't give a shit, but it might be affecting your mood, your cravings, your energy, your hunger later on. So like, let's just be aware of, awareness is always a good thing.
Yeah. I think we have a lot of habits, especially when we're first starting out or whatever, a lot of habits that we carry through and we don't realize how much of an impact they have because it's just what we do. And once those habits change or shift or they're removed, then you're like, oh my God, I actually have energy and hunger. And like, I don't reach for a can of pop every hour. Like, if we can find ways to just get into that habit a little bit and make some switches, I think it's going to make a huge difference in how you feel, how you look, how your day goes, all these things. But I know the question on TikTok was specifically about calories, and yeah, they matter. As much as I'm sure they were looking for like no, drink whatever you want. Like, if it's a big part of your day-to-day routine and it's not just a once in a while thing, it's gonna impact your calorie intake, your ability to lose fat, your energy, your hunger, all these other things. So be a little honest with yourself about where that intake is actually at and see if we can make some changes, and then you can go from there. It doesn't have to be nothing, but we maybe need to switch out a couple of those pops or a couple of pops a week or whatever.
Look, nobody here is telling you to give up coffee. Nobody here is telling you.
Just find a coffee creamer you like so you can make it at home instead of going to get it every day.
That.
And if you need coffee Rex, you're talking to the right people. So
we do a whole episode on coffee Rex.
I got everything from like the cheap like Keurig pods to like grind your own beans with my hand grinder. I thought was a good purchase during COVID. So like, what do you want? I got all the options
and everything in between.
Yeah.
Okay. Next TikTok magic question.
Staying on the theme of calories, even though it's not your favorite topic. Oat versus almond milk. Does it matter?
I think no. Maybe if you're thinking from like how much is this process thing? I don't even know. Maybe there's a little bit more protein in one versus the other. I know you buy like protein added milk. I think it's probably just like whatever taste you prefer. Honestly, I'll get whatever's available. I buy almond because at Costco you get the 3-pack of almond milk, and that's just more economical. I'm only putting it in coffee and smoothies anyway, so I don't really notice it. But if I'm out and about, like at a coffee shop, I'll get oat because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So that's what I do.
I agree. Short answer, get what you prefer. If we want to get into the nitty gritty, I think these are the hills we don't need to die on with fat loss, like especially with calorie intake and fat loss. Your oat versus almond, there's probably bigger things we could start with first versus the type of milk you're using. But if we're really looking at it, I'll buy in to the question for today. If you were my one-on-one client, I would tell you I don't care and drink whatever milk you want. But for the sake of the pod, I will buy into the question. Oat milk's going to be a little bit higher calorie. So you'll usually see the people that are like, here's how to tweak your coffee order. They always go almond milk because almond milk is just a lower calorie nut. But like
oats are not nuts.
Yeah. In the
Yeah,
world of
yeah, oats are not nuts.
In the world of nuts, almond is at the bottom, cashew is at the top if we need a calorie lesson. In the world of milks, oat is somewhere in the middle. I am an oat milk girl. I think almond milk ruins the taste of things. A lot of the time, I don't want to just taste almonds all the time, but that's personal preference. Lots of people love oat milk or almond milk. So do what you want with it. I'm an oat milk girly. I buy the only thing I do is the almond and cashew silk milk because it's a little bit higher protein, but again, not a huge difference. And that's what goes into smoothies. So that's why I don't care that it's an almond because I don't taste it. For my coffees, I'm almost always oat milk. So yeah, nitty gritty, oats a little bit higher calorie, but like at the end of the day, there's bigger things to focus on if we have fat.
And like you hit the nail on the head there by saying like nitty gritty. Like this is what we would call a very small dial mover. The amount of mental load that it takes to figure that out and be like, well, this is slightly better than this. It doesn't matter, right? No. It's not making a big impact on everything else that's going on, right? So if whatever you put in your coffee makes it taste better, great. Unless it's like whatever they're putting in that caramel something thing. Yeah. But we're not talking about that anymore.
Yeah. In the world of milks, pick what you like, pick what your body digests well, pick what you prefer. I don't really care unless you were like, hey, I drink a carton. I still wouldn't care. I literally don't care what milk you use. I'm going to leave it at that. And I promise you, if you're struggling with fat loss or you're looking to start fat loss, there's bigger things to focus on than the milk we're using. So,
yeah, agreed.
This is just a theme of like this versus that. Olive oil versus butter. Is one better? And the exact question was, is olive oil better than butter in terms of cooking?
Oh, okay. Because my first answer was going to be on toast. No. Stick with the butter.
Do not put your olive oil on your toast. No, I was going to say unless you're doing a grilled cheese, but I put mayo on my grilled cheese. And if you've never done that, you should.
I wouldn't use olive oil for a grilled cheese either.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I still butter.
In my opinion, again, another one of those small dial movers that is not going to make a huge difference in the result because like what's you cooking with it? Are you cooking vegetables? Do you like putting a little bit of butter on your vegetables and that makes it digestible for you? Cool. Do that. Do you like putting olive oil on your vegetables and having them bake in the oven and that makes them taste good? Cool. Do that. I really don't care. And I know there's probably one that's like, if you cook with this, you're going to get cancer. We do a lot of things that will probably give us cancer. And I know that sounds really insensitive and I'm sorry if you're triggered by that, but I'm from an era where we literally heated up throwaway plastic containers in the microwave that were stained like spaghetti. That can't be healthy. I would think the oil that you're using is probably better than that.
I always live by the motto of we're all going to die anyways, because this is pretty morbid, but like we are. And I can almost guarantee that olive oil versus butter is not going to be the make or break for you in terms of living longer.
Probably not.
Again, I think the overall theme with all of this is how much are we using? How frequently are we doing it? Like, I do think
a teaspoon of olive oil in your frying pan. Nope.
Fine. But are we using like an atrocious amount of butter on our like I don't know. I've seen it all as a nutrition.
Are you Are you putting butter in your coffee and calling it health?
Yeah, like we've seen it all as nutrition coach. So I think the overarching theme is like, what is the overall amount that these things are occurring or we're using? Because again, anything can be not great in large quantities, but if you're like a regular person, which I assume most people listening are, again, it comes down to preference. I think if you're cooking at high temperatures, use an olive oil because it's less of a fire risk. But like, that's all I got for you.
Safety first. From an intuitive eating perspective, a lot of things that people try to do to make their foods less calorie dense is they immediately ditch like the dressings, the sauces, the spreads, all those kinds of things. But let's not forget that those things make our food taste good, right? So picture you eating a piece of toast with nothing on it versus a little bit of butter. How different does that toast seem, right? So if you're skipping it because you think it's better for you or lower calorie or healthier for you, think of what you're missing by skipping that. Are you missing the flavor? Are you missing, like, are you honestly sitting there eating a salad without dressing on it? Are you having oil and vinegar because you're like, well, ranch is it's too many calories, but it's like 20 calories more. Like, it really doesn't. If you're like, oh yeah, my oil and vinegar dressing, and that makes you hate your life because of this salad, stop doing it.
I also think, taste good. Yeah, I also think on the holistic side of things, like, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'll use a sugar-free sweetener, or I'll do a diet pop, or I'll do, like, I don't think we have it here, but like, they can't believe it's not butter, like that spray you see like TikTokers using. Unpopular opinion, that's not better. Like, if we're looking at the holistic side and we're looking at like what we're putting into our bodies, the artificial side of any of this, the sugar-free sweeteners, the sugar-free coffee syrups, the sugar-free this, the 0 calorie that, is not better. Our body knows how to process sugar and butter and olive oil. It knows what to do with those ingredients and those things. It doesn't really know what to do with aspartame and palm oils and like all the like artificial side of things. So I think it's important to kind of check in with yourself of like, what is my goal by making this switch? Like, if calories are your end all be all goal, sure, do the 0 calorie things. If health is your overall goal, you're probably better off using the coffee creamer, using the butter, using the like whole, more natural things than you are going 0 calorie everything.
And if the 0 calorie things make you a miserable cow, maybe that's not the vibe either.
Yeah. And I give myself the right to speak on it, 1, because this is our podcast, and 2, because once upon a time yeah, and I also was the girl for a while that did the 0 calorie everything, like the Walden Farms 0 calorie maple syrup and 0 calorie salad dressings and all these things. But like, read the ingredients list. I guarantee you don't know a single thing that's going into those products, and you probably can't even pronounce half of them. So I don't think, if we're weighing the like which is better, which is worse, our body knows what to do with ranch dressing. Our body doesn't know what to do with a 0 calorie Caesar salad dressing, because nothing in that is real.
And like, that aside, ranch is delicious.
Yeah.
My kid eats a ton of ranch. Like, you put dip on anything, kids will eat it. Yeah. Even adults who have trouble eating.
I was going to say, adults will
vegetables.
Also eat vegetables.
Just eat the ranch. Just eat the ranch. It's fine. Yeah. I have one that that someone asked, and the basic premise of the question was, if someone is trying to be a runner and their like feet and ankles are hurting kind of thing, should we be working on changing their gait pattern? And it's kind of off brand from nutrition, but I think it's an important thing to say is that sometimes things are uncomfortable, and your stride in your running, probably not as bad as you have been led to believe. I would say, like, without seeing what this looks like, I would say, see if you can speed up your cadence a little bit, but also like do some exercises for your feet and your ankles. and then we'll talk running mechanics, but like, running mechanics it's easy to be like, I just need to change everything about the way that I run. That's actually harder than it sounds.
One time when I was at NATE, my instructor told me that my gait sucked. That's fine.
Just like running or walking or just like
all of it. I think he was like, your gait is terrible. Like, why is it so short? Like, and I was like, well, I'm 5'4",
well,
so
I'm short.
Part of the problem. My legs only grew so big. So now this is like a weird thing that got stuck in my head from Nate. I like think about that all the time. And sometimes when I'm out walking Nola, you know how there's like the separation in the sidewalk, like the pieces of cement. I don't know what they're actually called, but we know what I'm saying. Sometimes I'll be like walking and I'm like, okay, I can only step once per square. And I'll like try to like stretch my feet. And then I'm like, this is stupid. And then I go back to walking regular. But sometimes his voice just pops into my head that's like, your date's too short. And I'm like, okay, I'll fix it.
This is a perfect example of why we can't say things like that. As coaches, as teachers, as anything, because you never know what's going to stick with somebody.
Like
right?
I graduated from Nate 7 years ago, and still to this day, walking my dog, I'm like, walk with a bigger gait.
but the thing is, and let's take your example as a little case study here. Let's say you really got in your head about it, and you're like, I am going to take bigger steps no matter what. I would probably guess that you might end up with maybe sore hamstrings from overstriding, maybe sore hip flexors from overstriding. You might start to sway in the hips a little bit because the power is coming from somewhere else. Then all of a sudden you end up with a sore back. And then you're like, now what do I do? Because my whole body hurts. I can't even walk anymore. And that one sentence, that's a little extreme, but that one sentence from that one person 7 years ago has now made you not want to go walking with your dog or the easiest way to fitness.
I make it like 5 steps and I'm like, this is stupid. And then I go back to my regular stride because I'm like crying so hard. And I'm like,
and this is you who's like educated on this. Imagine the impact that can have on somebody with less of an education than we do. Yeah. So listen, moral of the story is
there's bigger fish to fry in all areas.
Even if we take it to like a lifting perspective, your form is probably good enough. It's probably fine. If you're not breaking yourself with every lift, you're probably okay.
And most of us, which we've talked about before, aren't lifting to our max abilities anyways. So form matters less when we're not pushing to our max limits. So I think the overarching theme of all the questions is depends how often you're doing it and depends like the amount it's in your life, because nothing really matters that much unless we do it in super large quantities. Then we might need to pay a little more attention to what we're up to inside those habits.
Yeah. And as somebody who is actually trained in gait analysis, Jill, I have seen you walk. It is fine.
Thanks. I literally looked at him and Nate and I said, well, I'm not very tall, so that might be the problem.
You get the Jess seal of approval on your gait. And I actually watch people walk a lot because I just used to do it all the time. And I like to see if I can guess, like I'll be like, that person has a sore knee. Or I'll be like, something's wrong with their hip.
In case you're wondering, we'll wrap up the pod, so it's not, because I know you guys had a long one last week, but in case you're wondering what trainers are up to in the wild,
that's it.
We're just looking at everything. I can tell if your glute med is not strong enough based on what
Trendelenburg. That's what that is. That's what the walk's called when you sway your hips. It's called a Trendelenburg.
Yeah.
Or so if you think like if you think like Marilyn Monroe with the hip sway, it's called a Trendelenburg.
Or where your feet point when you're walking. We can tell which muscles are not being used enough, and most of the time it's your butt. So which
is not to say that you have glute amnesia or you have no glutes or they forgot what they're supposed to do. They're not turned on or anything like that. They just could be more effective.
Yeah. But that's what we're up to in the wild, is observing everyone's movement patterns.
New reality TV show, Trainers in the Wild.
We will probably never tell you, and we're not doing it to judge. It's just like our brains can't
turn it off. This is also why I'm not allowed to work out in public spaces anymore, because I can't keep my eyes on my own business.
Yeah. Yeah. We try our best. We can't help it. It's just the way our brains are wired. But if you have any other questions or things we talked about today sparked some thoughts and feelings on your end. If you're like, hey, this is a habit I have, how much does it actually matter? We would love to help you out with that. As always, feel free to send us questions at any time. Jess puts up a question box every week. Feel free to use it. Use the podcast as free coaching, as we always say.
Let me just say, guys, like, you guys are really hot and cold with the question boxes. Some days we have to pick and choose the questions. Some weeks it's crickets. So if you could just find somewhere in the middle,
just figure it out. Okay.
Just figure it out. And if you don't ask them, we can't answer them.
Yeah. But yeah, ask away as always. You can find me on all the socials at coachjill.april. You can find the podcast at Lattes and Lifting Podcast on Instagram. And no, what is our YouTube?
It's just Lattes and Lifting Podcast. So nice. You search it, you'll find it. There is no other Lattes and Lifting on YouTube. It's just us. And can I just say, you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, our viewership is going up. Like, we have a solid 15 views a week, which I feel like is great. We love you guys. We love that you can see us. It's like we're on our way to being, the next Jason and Travis Kelce. Let's be real here. That's who we aspire to.
We're only 1.5 million people short, but that's okay. We'll get there.
You gotta have goals.
Everyone starts somewhere. You know what? Where can they find you? As always.
At JLack Fitness on all the socials.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.